Weird things and discounts. Sounds just like my grocery list. It's the LP Podcast. Hello and happy Tuesday. It's the day of the week where I do more talking than playing of Nintendo games, but of course, as you already know, Nintendo is the topic all the same. And much in line with prior weeks, we are continuing a relatively lighter news cycle. Not a whole lot of incredible things are happening in the world of Nintendo at this moment. Big things to come, I'm certain. So we'll start off with the weirdest Nintendo console features as written by Mark Ward. And I'll pause here briefly because Nintendo, obviously, for the greater part of their entire history, has been well known for, some call it innovative, some call it experimentative, doing things in a way that otherwise bucks the norm, right? You see Microsoft and Sony sort of competing against each other for sort of the same sect of gamers, and Nintendo, well, they just do their own thing, for better or worse. So let's see. There's going to be no shortage, I'm sure. First off, the GameCube handle. Interesting. What makes it weird? It's convenient, but takes up valuable space. Valuable space? I mean, the GameCube's like this big and a little, I don't know. Does it really take up valuable space? Players might look funny holding a game console at their side. I will say this. I very rarely used the handle. Just when I would move the GameCube, if I took it, from my room to the living room, or if I took it over to a friend's house for a local area network gameplay session. I don't know. I don't know if this is all that weird, but we'll continue on. The author says the addition of a handle on the back of the GameCube was a welcome, albeit incredibly weird addition. Carrying the console around like a briefcase had sort of a novelty to it. Unfortunately, there's no way to detach it, so it always protrudes, taking up space in the TV stand where the console will spend most of its time. I mean, I guess that's fair. It is occupying a whole, 2.5 inches protrusion, so maybe you're short on space, and that is a factor. Next up is the Panasonic Q's everything. If you're not familiar with the Panasonic Q, well, we'll talk about it here. What makes it weird? It looks nothing like a game system and is very large. Well, that's not entirely true. Here, let me see if it can pull up a photo for us. Panasonic, really, that's the link? When you go to Panasonic Q and you click the thing, you would think that this right here, this hyperlink, would send you to something related to the Panasonic Q, but it takes you to Yakuza like a dragon and karaoke songs. Anyways, we'll improvise here, and we will Google it just to cross all our bases. It's just like a larger GameCube, really. It's not that unwieldy, just a little bit taller. I think this might be the best photo you can see just for a reference with a GameCube controller. I mean, that's not bad, right? Like, what the heck? Oh, whatever. I guess what's weird to some people may, in fact, not be weird to others, and I'm kind of a weird guy, so I suppose it's no surprise. Going on, not to be mistaken for a karaoke machine, the Q had a rather sterile metallic design, a bunch of extra buttons, and a media bar sticking out at the top of it. That's because it had CD and DVD support, and those extra buttons were for it, in case you're not familiar. But apparently that's weird. Next up, the microphone on the Nintendo DS. What makes it weird? The built-in mic was weird at first, but would start a trend, and it was functional in unconventional ways. I remember playing WarioWare. I think it was WarioWare Touched on the DS, and there were several mini games that you had to blow into it, blowing up a balloon or maybe bubbles or something. It's been a long time, obviously, so I don't quite remember, but I quite enjoyed the microphone. Another thing you could do, and I don't remember if this was part of a game or part of the OS and just the software on the DS itself, but you could record anything, really. You could record your voice, which is what I did on the microphone, and distort it in all sorts of strange ways. It wasn't exactly the greatest microphone, right? So it already sounded pretty distorted, but 12-year-old LP had a number of fun occasions with that. Moving on, the 3D slider on the 3DS. What makes it weird? It relegates a powerful feature to a simple slider. 3D on a small handheld device was a concept players had to experience to understand. So, is that... I guess we're crossing not a line here, but we are teetering the line between weird and the very features that make a console what they are. You know what I'm saying? Like the 3DS wouldn't be the 3DS without this factor. It just that's kind of... I mean, I'm sure there were other differences between that and its predecessors, but it's something somewhat similar or significant, don't you think? The C-stick nub for the new 3DS. What makes it weird, extremely small, and has a bit of a learning curve, and it was barely ever required to play games. I mean, that's fair. The software is not utilizing the hardware is perhaps a tale as old as time. They're not always created in alignment with one another. So I guess I can kind of agree with this one. The Wii Remote motion control. No. Weird. Now we're confusing weird and novel, because the very first point here is that it had a level of motion control that was unheard of in 2006. Yeah, and when electricity was invented, it was also unheard of, but that didn't make it weird. Novel, unique, innovative. Come on now, man. The controller was usable in many different orientations depending on the game. It was, yes, like for Kirby's Epic Yarn, you rotate it sideways, and for many others as well. It's hard to put a finger on just what made the Wii such a major success. A big part of it, though, had to have been the unique controls that the Wii Remote brought to the table. As weird as they were for the time, they were beyond easy to pick up and enjoy. Right, and they were kind of crucial in the success of the console, right? Everyone and their grandmother purchased Wii, well, technically everyone just got Wii Fit because, or Wii Sports, excuse me, because it came with the Wii, but the motion controls are exactly what made that. Early VR functionality for the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy was Nintendo's worst-selling console in the mid-90s. I would, you know, I would say that the entire thing was weird. Definitely a step that was progressive, shall we say, right? Nintendo, ever-changing, ever trying to improvise and adapt and innovate. This obviously was no different. They were trying to step into the VR market before it even existed. And now you have things like Oculus, which is yet to take real root in the gaming space. Sure, people will play them, and it's definitely more prevalent now than it was in the mid-90s. But I don't think that VR has really established a significant foothold in the greater gaming space, specifically like in Nintendo games. It's virtually irrelevant, we'll say. But I can agree with this. The Virtual Boy, as a whole, very weird. Saving Mii's to the Wii Remote for the Wii. What makes it weird? A completely unique way to share something with friends. Saving to a controller. What? The Wii allowed players to create digital avatar. Well, yeah, the Mii's that could be brought onto games like Wii Sports Resort for an added layer of customization. But what if players wanted to take that little pal to a friend's house and load it up on their Wii for use in games over there? The process is as easy as saving their Mii to their controller. What? Really? I had no idea. That's incredible. That's amazing. I love that so much. Now we just use our Mii's in games like Smash Brothers or Mario Kart, but this is absolutely something I would have used. I spent, you know, like 5, 6, 7 minutes making a Mii that almost looked, you know, somewhat like me. Wild. Did you ever do this? Did you use this? Did anyone know this, or is it just me? That's kind of crazy. That's it for the list, it looks like, though. So what do you think? Were those weird? I don't know. I don't know that any of those were outright weird, except for maybe the Virtual Console, and then, of course, the C-Stick for the 3DS. But everything else is just like, that's Nintendo. But maybe the reason why I love Nintendo is because it's inherently weird. Moving on, we have a deal. Apparently one of the best Nintendo Switch deals right now. So if you go over to Dell.com, I'll pop it up here. You can get yourself a Switch OLED model for some significant cash off. First off, you get a $50 promo gift card bonus, so it's not necessarily cash off, right? You still pay a price for the Switch OLED, but you get $50 back to use at Dell, right? And if you're, you know, anything like me, you use a non-zero amount of technology, you probably find something over at Dell.com that you could use. Additionally, if you pair your purchase of the OLED model with something, I don't know, a mouse or a keyboard, something smaller, cheaper, that combination also unlocks an additional 10% off So then you stand to save, what, 10% of $350, $35 plus the $50. You stand to save $85 from that transaction. So like I said, head on over to Dell.com and check it out, because that's pretty freaking cool. I have not considered purchasing an OLED model. Have you? I'd be curious to hear anyone's thoughts, just because my base model switch here, and I'm not even certain that it'll show up because of the green screen. Yeah, this is right. I'm using the pastels. It's actually kind of cool looking. Anyways, because the base model one has worked out so well for me over the last freaking nearly 8 years. Holy cow. This is not the only deal happening out there, though. Target, is offering a $25 gift card with any purchase of any Switch console. So not just the OLED model, but anything that they sell at Targets. And I'm not 100% certain if this is online or in-store. It is both. It is both right here, highlighted, online or in-store. You also get free shipping on the purchase, so it doesn't even matter whether or not you go online or in-store. You can bring the store to your own friggin' house, man. That's incredible. And if you're a Red Card member, I don't know what that is. I thought that was like a bad thing in football and soccer. You get an additional 5% cash back on top of that. All right, so if you're assaulting people in a soccer match, no, I'm just kidding. It's some sort of membership, I'm sure. Target Red Card is a credit card with 0 annual fee. Not a sponsor, so I'm not going to read that. Anyways, discounts and deals for the Switch. You know what that means? We already know it. The next console is slowly but surely making its way to us. Apparently, not this year. So no news on that just yet. But we do have news, or at least some updates, on Thunderful. They're extending their distribution agreement with Nintendo. So what does that mean? I'm not actually completely privy to what Thunderful is responsible for, but we can read through the article here and see what it has to tell us. So the Thunderful Group has secured an extension of its long-running partnership with Nintendo, in which it handles the distribution for all of the platform holders' products in the Nordic and Baltic regions. Okay, so it's a distributor for that region of the world. So that's good if you're in there. I know a non-zero amount of members of the community here are actually in Nordic countries. So look at that. Your longtime distributor is continuing to distribute. Very good. Even though the company Thunderful posted a loss of $59 million for 2023 and a profit of $11.8 in 2022. Fascinating considering the success of Nintendo. Why were they losing money? There we go. Very, very interesting. Hard to speculate on that because that's not an area of my expertise, but it's good to know that the games and consoles that are to come will continue to be handled in the way that's already been established over there in the Baltic and Nordic regions. Moving on, Nintendo Switch exclusive Endless Ocean Luminous is now up for pre-order. So if you caught this on the Nintendo Direct stream a month or so ago, look at this. It's available for pre-order, and it'll be launching later this spring on May 2nd. So do you need to pre-order when it's less than 2 months away? I mean, if you're really excited about the ocean, then maybe. Your call. As I understand it, this was is this not a remake of a Wii game? Or it is the successor to Blue World. Yes, from 2010. Gotcha. So if you want to be diving and thriving in all sorts of aquatic ecosystems, this is it for you. I am going to check it out. I am not going to pre-order it, though. I do not pre-order very many games. Well, who am I kidding? Yes, I do. I choose to pre-order games just to show, like, a vote of support or confidence. Like, I pre-order Princess Peach Showtime because I want more games in that same vein. I pre-order Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake because I want more games in that same vein. So I don't really know enough about Endless Ocean Luminous. I didn't play Blue World in 2010 to really to cast that vote. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I will play it, and I'll have a good amount of fun with it, I'm sure, as I do with most Nintendo games. But the person I think that will enjoy this the most is my wife, Serena. You've seen her playing co-op games. Sometimes she's on the streams. So we'll see. We'll see. Moving on to the next one, Nintendo seems to have changed something about its game releases. Clear your Thursdays if you're eager to play Nintendo's new Switch games. What is this? For years, anyone looking for a new Nintendo game in the US could generally plan on digging in or calling in sick on a Friday. Be it a major release like Tears of the Kingdom or a smaller one like Everybody Wants to Switch, Nintendo has set the release dates for most games it publishes on Fridays. Not anymore. Well, hold on. Princess Peach comes out the 22nd. That's a Friday. Mario vs. Donkey Kong did come out on a Friday, right? Well, let's see here. Its most recent games, including another Code Recollection and Mario vs. Donkey Kong, as well as its next one, Princess Peach Showtime, were all scheduled for Fridays. Yeah. See? But it does say the recent batch of Mario Day games has Nintendo-published games releasing on Thursdays. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, May 23rd, is a Thursday. And Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, June 27th, are both Thursdays. Not that I don't trust this individual, but May 23rd, 2024, is that a... That's a Wednesday? What? Is it a Wednesday? May 23rd, Thousand Year Door. I'm the year 204. Yes, way back in the past. What was it? Yeah, Jiminy Christmas, the Romans were playing Thousand Year Door. I saw the hieroglyphics. No, so it is a Thursday. And then just, not that we don't trust him, but June 27th, 2024 is probably also a Thursday. But just for my own curiosity, by golly. Yes. And seven days from Independence Day. Look at that, 4th of July. Very good. Well, that is fascinating. It'll be curious to see if that continues to be the case. Endless Ocean Luminous, which we just talked about, also apparently is on a Thursday, the 2nd of May. Fascinating. Kirby's Dream Buffet or Pikmin 1 and 2, the remake pairing, both launched on a Wednesday. So I don't know if this is enough to drum up a trend, but it is something to keep an eye on, which is interesting. And I do think it makes some slight amount of sense, right? Because a lot of times, at least for digital releases, they come out Friday at midnight, which is ostensibly Thursday. You know what I'm saying? Thursday evening. So if they just push that back a few hours, then people can buy it and have it for the weekend. Ultimately, I don't necessarily know that it'll make a huge deal, but they employ financial analysts and market analysts that know more than I do about this sort of thing, and they're the ones that help dictate what day of the week they should be releasing their games on, and those informants have told them that apparently it's a good idea here. Time will tell. Moving on. What do we have here? The rarest Super Nintendo game, and how much is it? So, if you already didn't know, I improvise this whole podcast. I don't look at any of these articles prior. I just like to pull them up and read them with you guys and express my opinions. So before we dig into this one, let's think about this. Rarest Super Nintendo game. There's a lot of rare Super Nintendo games. Like, initially, I'm drawn to Earthbound, right? It's not uncommon to see a copy of it going online for thousands of dollars, right? Complete in box. Similarly, Chrono Trigger, also right up there. What could it be? What could it be? What could it be? Let's scroll and find out. Max, Multi-Purpose Arcade Combat Simulator, is a particularly unique Nintendo rarity. Not Earthbound. Markedly less colorful. I think I've played this. Wait a minute. What is it gonna? Where's the information here? Nintendo is a household name in gaming. Players of all ages can gather and play incredible titles like Pokemon or Super Smash Bros. Max is a rarity. It was never sold at retail, nor did the public ever get to formally see it. Instead, the United States military contracted Nintendo to develop a simulator to train their soldiers on how to use the rifle on the cheap. Yes, I did play this. I am 99% sure I played this when I was in the Army at Fort Benning. I remember it was one day the drill sergeants got us all up. They're kicking us in the faces and spitting in our lunch. And they told us, hey, we're going to go play video games today. We're going to go play some video games today, Bryce. You're going to get them going there. And we're like, okay, that sounds a lot better than, like scraping our faces on the ground like slugs and crying. But it still ended up being a relatively painful day. We had to ruck march over there. And that's a whole topic in and of itself. Anyways, we got to this building, and it was, I don't want to say an arcade. It definitely wasn't an arcade, but it was a darker, carpeted sort of building. And you bring us into this room, and it's all dark in there, and there are these large screens with some projectors and these plastic, I guess, Nintendo rifles, and you would train marksmanship virtually. It was very interesting, and it was nice because it was dark. and I got to hide in the corner and take a nap. Anyways, moving on, Star Fox Super Weekend Competition is a relic of an era before esports. So we got more rarities. Look at the price charting price for this one, $3,500, nearly $3,600. eBay, you can find it for $8 to $10 grand if you want. Jiminy Christmas, crazy. No, and it's no wonder that it's not like aesthetically pleasing, right? I mentioned its lack of color compared to Earthbound. It's not meant to sell. So moving on, this one, however, was meant to sell, right? It's the weekend competition, $2,500 incomplete. Otherwise, you can find it on eBay for roughly $3,500. A forgotten aspect of Nintendo's history is that it used to host tournaments and competitions around the world. And I'm guessing, yes, this was one of those cartridges for it. It only contained the secret levels of the original Star Fox game, and players competed to see who could earn the most points. Very cool. Very cool. Third on the list, Nintendo Campus Challenge is an even rarer piece of pre-esports history. Oh my gosh. I thought these were going in descending order. Price charting price on this guy, $17,000 freaking dollars. But apparently you can get it on eBay for less than that. Not 100% certain how that works, but that's freaking bananas. All right, you gonna buy yourself a car? You can buy yourself like, I don't know, 4% of a house? Wow. Yet another relic from the days when Nintendo competitions were still widespread. The title of Nintendo Campus Challenge 1992. That's the year I was born. It's a bit misleading. Although it might seem like this was an intellectual test, the name refers to the fact that this competition was hosted on college campuses across the United States and parts of Canada. Interesting. It featured small sections of levels from many of Nintendo's most popular titles, including Mario World, F-Zero, and Pilot Wings. That's really neat. That is really cool. I'd love that cartridge, really. But I'd also love $20,000 to get the cartridge. Donkey Kong Country Competition Cart. I've talked to some people who actually own a version of this, and that is price charting at $5,300. Jiminy Christmas, with eBay prices going upwards of $75,000 USD, of course. Is that expensive? That's a little expensive. Holy cow. I mean, it's clear what that is, too. It's a competition for points for Donkey Kong Country. Freaking incredible. Ace Fighters was an arcade game in spirit that struggled on the SNES, excuse me. Price charting for $3,100 to $5,200. Man, these games are crazy. Yeah, Earthbound, nowhere on here. And all these, here we go. What, Hagane? $2,500 to $9,500. Earthbound, look at this. It doesn't even give you a picture. It gives a weird Chrono Trigger Mario World 2. Weird, but Earthbound, at least the one game that I talked about prior to reading the article is on here. $1,700 to $6,300. eBay going upwards of $15K. Crazy. Yeah, so I saw one of these at a game store. It was complete in box, pristine condition, for I think $3,500. I have a vlog on it, actually, on the vlog channel. I think it was like day 3 of the vlog too, relatively early on. One day I'd like to get one. Mega Man X3, looking at about $1,000 to $4,000, quite a range. Entertainment Mountain Bike Rally / Speed Racer, Go Speed Racer, $108 to $533. Okay. Nintendo Power Fest 1994, similar vein as the campus one, $17,500 price charting. Wow. Well, those are expensive. Holy cow. I could only imagine some grandma who just like held on to one of these, didn't know anything, threw it away. Undoubtedly, there's a non-zero amount of copies that have been disposed of in such an unceremonious fashion. I can't imagine. But I can't imagine if this is the end of the podcast. So thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it and hope that you enjoyed yourself. We do this every Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.